Hello, welcome to HBM's Crypto-Corner for Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024. We are in the new year. Happy New Year. We have quite a few things to talk about, so let's get started. Texas man's photo of Black Panther creates buzz. Wildlife experts say it's not possible. Panthers in Texas? One local man in Huntsville says it's true. Jarrell Hall, who lives in the city about 70 miles north of Houston, snapped a photo that has prompted a barrage of questions on social media and follow-up articles in national news outlets. The grainy photo, posted to Facebook on Saturday, appears to show a dark-colored feline that's larger than a house cat and has a long tail. Well, we have officially spotted a panther on our property, Hall wrote on the post. Obviously, this is not the photo in question. This is. Well, is it or isn't it? It's too far away to really be able to tell, isn't it? Wildlife officials say there's no such thing as black mountain lions. That may be true, but black panthers have been spotted in this country. The unofficial position is they don't exist. Excuse me, the official position is they don't exist. Black panthers and jaguar rundies in Texas. Black jaguars do not exist in North America according to the Wildlife Department, and no one has ever captured or killed a black mountain lion. Also called cougars, pumas, panthers, painters, and catamounts, mountain lions are found throughout the Trans-Pecos in Texas, as well as in brushlands of South Texas and portions of the hill country, according to the Texas Wildlife Department's website. Now, they do have apparently fur that can appear gray or almost black, depending on light conditions. So, is this a black panther or just a regular cat? That's a good question. But only challenge the photographer to put something out there of equal size, or at least a little bit smaller, like a house cat, for comparison purposes. So there won't be any questions as to whether it's a black panther or something else. Still, it's quite fascinating. And here's a mystery relating to the Mothman. That charming man, Indrid Cold, reconsidered, Part 8. Mostly unmentioned in narratives about the contactee Woodrow Derenberger and the largely human-looking E.T. Indrid Cold is Harold W. Hubbard, the co-author of Derenberger's 1973 book Visitors from Lanulos. Hubbard was a technical division director of the Sebring, Ohio UFO Research Division, UFORD, a group that at one point was meeting at Petrucci's Spaghetti House in town. Derenberger assumedly met Hubbard from UFO community interaction, but the circumstances are not exactly clear to my knowledge. Regardless, they must have struck up a friendship because Hubbard was credited as the main writer on Visitors from the Nulos, from a story related to him by Derenberger. As mentioned elsewhere, Tanya Bowman Derenberger would later write that Hubbard had at the last minute edited out some of the most intriguing aspects of the case, yet simultaneously exaggerated the story. So, Indrid Cold apparently was this individual, looked a little like the Joker. He was the grinning man, as it were. Looks like a pretty fascinating article. So I recommend everybody check it out. Now here's an article from Skeptical Inquirer that asks the ever-loving question, is Bigfoot dead? I think the phenomenon is not dead. The phenomenon is more popular than ever, but what about the creatures themselves? Are there still Sasquatch? And can we rule out the misidentifications and the hoaxes and the wishful thinking? Of course, John Green said that in his book Sasquatch Sleeps Among Us, but then he said if only one of these reports is the real deal, then you have a phenomenon to deal with. You have something to deal with. It's an interesting article. Don't know if it'll move the needle any further. Radford looks from a more skeptical point of view, obviously. What's wrong with that? We all have to be a bit skeptical of things. I'm skeptical of stuff all the time. Now, Radford says there's a dearth of credible evidence. Well, what about the footprint casts? And I realize they can be hoaxed. In some cases, however, I don't think so. They can't be hoaxed. Obviously, according to Radford, they can be hoaxed. I mean, Radford takes a skeptical look, as we all know. Like I said, I think the phenomenon will continue, even if there are a lack of credible sightings and credible evidence. But I guess time will tell. Here's one I recommend checking out, the Ketchum Peer Reviews. This is the blog bigfootclaims.blogspot.com. I believe it's Haskell Hart's blog. At least now everything I have said can be authenticated, including the ridiculous and biased nature of the reviews. Now people will know the truth and that we did pass peer review. Melba Ketchum. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Anonymous Ketchum reviewer. Extraordinary evidence requires extraordinary review. Haskell Hart. Hindsight is 2020. Anonymous. Dr. Melba Ketchum first submitted her famous paper to Nature, which rejected it on November 1st, 2012, based on comments of 4 reviewers after she first tried to satisfy their request in the second round. She then submitted the paper to Journal of Advanced Multidisciplinary Exploration in Zoology, James, which she claims accepted after some revisions. Much has been made of the history of the defunct journal, Journal of Advanced Multidisciplinary Exploration in Zoology, James, sometimes called redundantly Journal of Advanced Zoological Exploration in Zoology by Scott Carpenter. See a link to his blog at right. It's the successor de novo, and whether in fact Dr. Melba Ketchum purchased the former to acquire the rights to her peer reviews so she could tout them in her own publication de novo, where her paper appeared. This debate is not about science and will be left to others. Instead, we focus here on the content of the peer reviews, taken as scientific criticism and evaluated at face value in the light of current knowledge of the Ketchum study based on my in-depth analyses in 3 papers. In so doing, we hope to answer the question of whether her work was fairly evaluated. And Dr. Hart just goes through some of the different errors that Dr. Ketchum made. And boy, did she make a lot of errors. Now, I highly recommend Haskell Hart's book, which covers it more in depth. But this blog kind of gives a general overview of all the mistakes and errors that Dr. Ketchum made. Dr. Hart went through it all and checked it all and came up with the conclusion that no, Melba Ketchum did not prove Sasquatch. And Melba Ketchum did not find good DNA. She manipulated a lot of the data to fit her own perceptions, which is obviously not what a scientist is supposed to do. But Ketchum did it, and she shouldn't have done it. It's obviously quite ridiculous that Ketchum would say that the reviews were biased. I'm sure that the reviewers wanted the information to be as accurate as possible and wanted it to be true. But wanting something to be true does not make it true. I think Dr. Ketchum and her sycophants should have learned that lesson. And she still has sycophants even today who are still sticking up for her. They're unfortunate and sad, to be quite honest. California Mountain is home to mysteries from Bigfoot to lost civilizations. Natives thought it was a sacred area as well. Mount Shasta is located in the northern stretches of California at the base of the mountain range known as the Cascades. A composite volcano, the peak dominates the surrounding landscape, stretching over 10,000 feet into the air with a steep summit and several prominent glaciers. It has been home to human settlements for over 7,000 years, forming part of the territory of the native Shasta, Okwanchu, Modoc, Ashamalai, Asugawai, Kuruk, Klamath, Wintu, and Yana peoples. It is also the location of a variety of supernatural legends.
Mythos surrounding Mount Shasta really is a one-stop shop. You've got UFOs, abductions, Lemurians, Count Saint Germain, magnetic anomalies, subterranean cities. When it comes to Mount Shasta, pick your poison, because it's there. Also, look at how solitary it is for being a mountain. It adds to the mystique. There's not really much around it. Mount Shasta is a potentially active volcano that exists 50 miles south of the Oregon border to the very top of California. It bears its name from the people that the land belongs to, and that would be the Shastan tribe that lived at the northern part of California, southern Oregon. For centuries, indigenous tribes referred to Mount Shasta as a sacred dwelling place. It belonged to spirits and celestial beings. The Winton people, slightly south of them, believed it was the, quote, land of the dead. Their overall connotation was a little bit more negative than the Shastans, who they believed that at least some way it was a portal to another world. And when you see how often lenticular cloud formations occur over the mount, it would be hard to dispute that belief. So these ancient beliefs of the true natives set the stage and the tapestry for our beliefs now. One of the prevalent narratives surrounding Mount Shasta is the subterranean city, the city of Telos, the city of the Lemurians. The Lemurians are said to be an ancient race. The Lemurians were said to be tall, fair-skinned, light-haired, and more right-brained. So, more abstract, more compassionate, more ethereal. Conversely, the Atlanteans were more left-brained, hard, advanced technologically, more wartime, versus the soft and gentle characteristics and demeanor of the Lemurians. And inside of Mount Shasta lies their land, Telos. If you are familiar with Lemurians at all, then you might be associating that with the land of Mu. They left Mu and went to Telos in order to escape. According to the lore, approximately 1.5 million people live inside of this subterranean metropolis now, and they can be contacted through meditative practices while witnessing magnetic anomalies atop the summit. The summit is also often where these lenticular clouds form. It is where UFO sightings have been reported, and it is where, on some occasions, it has been photographed that an unidentified something appears to fly straight into the mountain. At the turn of the 20th century, Guy Ballard alleged to have encountered Count Saint Germain while exploring Mount Shasta. If you are not familiar, Count Saint Germain is the gentleman who appeared to be immortal. Penn. The story of Count Saint Germain is objectively wild, and in this moment I just decided I'm going to make a video for you on him, on Penn. Guy Ballard, while atop Mount Shasta, was bequeathed secret, sacred information about the occult and the ascended masters in the subterranean city by Count Saint Germain. J.C. Brown also claimed to gain access to the hidden underground city via cave systems. J.C. Brown was exploring these caves because he was a geologist. But Brown, like Ballard, stumbled upon this Lemurian city, this city and civilization that predates human history. He spoke of towering structures that were made out of an unknown material, libraries filled with ancient texts, and that these inhabitants, these Lemurians, possessed what seemed like an infinite wisdom. Brown, like Ballard, went back and told his friends what he saw. J.C. Brown assembled a team to return to Mount Shasta's cave and go find this ancient city again. But even though the 80 people he assembled showed, J.C. Brown didn't. He disappeared. J.C. Brown effectively vanished. There's also the story of the boy and the robot grandma. A 3-year-old boy went missing while wandering near Mount Shasta, was found 5 hours later, and when he was returned to his grandmother's house, he told his grandmother that he liked her better than the other one. The grandma obviously did an about face, and the boy said that when he was out by the mountain, another grandma was there. It was her, but it somehow wasn't her. There are many mysteries surrounding Mount Shasta. In fact, many call this the new Roswell. And of course, there are stories of hikers that go missing and so forth, but I chose not to include those because those can be the most easily explained away. And I'm not saying the others can't be, but they were more unique. How come J.C. Brown disappeared? What are the odds that one of the more enigmatic figures in terms of immortality and ancient civilizations shows up in a story that is adjacently related to an ancient civilization that predates human history? And Guy Ballard absolutely could have made it up, but he was a military man, a mining engineer. It's almost giving Richard Byrd Operation High Jump. And lastly, indigenous cultures 100% of the time know what's up. Even if, as time goes on, we play a game of operator and details are embellished, the mystery and the mythos surrounding Mount Shasta might have legs. Have a nice day.
It was pretty interesting. That was pretty cool. A little bit of a longer video than I expected it to be, but it pretty well explained what's going on Mount Shasta. Pretty cool stuff. If Bigfoot is responsible for missing people in national parks, this guy thinks he knows why. The phenomenon of people disappearing in national parks is a popular discussion topic among both conspiracy theorists and Bigfoot trackers. It was explored at length by journalist John Billman in his recent book, The Cold Vanish. According to Billman, at least 1,600 people and perhaps many times that number remain missing on public lands under circumstances that defy easy explanation. In his book, he interviews several people who traffic in the cryptid theory of human experiences, and there are fascinating evidence for why these experiences cannot be just chalked up to lost hikers, kidnappings, or natural disasters.
And I think I can prove it as well. And I'm just curious how many people agree with this theory as well. And just really think about it, okay? Hear me out. Now, there's so many people in this world that don't believe in the unknown, right? Whether it be cryptids, skinwalkers, wendigos, just a lot of shit that, comes in either fairy tales or myth. And that's fine, believe what you want, but don't ever doubt what other people do see. But hear me out. What if the government really does have a lot of secrets that we really don't know about, right? Now, I'm speaking in the aspects of like national parks, places where people go missing. So what if the government's really just like feeding people to these cryptids, these unknown creatures, right? Just to keep them away from society. I mean, it's a pretty crazy theory, but hear me out, right? Because when I was in Colorado, personally, I've seen some very terrifying things. And I can speak upon those things if you want me to. But I don't know, sightings and missing people really go into par with each other. It's a terrifying world.
Now, there are those who say, well, there's more mundane explanations for why people go missing. But in some cases, maybe Sasquatch are responsible. In some cases. I know Thomas Steenberg said one time if you were to run into a hostile one of these things, you would tend to disappear. So just be careful out in the forest. But then again, there's also a lot of lunatics and nut jobs out in the forest too. Like those who are maintaining marijuana crops. They'll make you go missing in a big hurry. So all I'm saying is be careful out there. Finally, coast to coast, craziest cryptid cases of 2023. While Bigfoot cast an understandably oversized shadow on the world of weird news this past year, 2023 was not without appearances by a cavalcade of its proverbial colleagues in the realm of cryptozoology. Suspected lake monsters, the alleged elf, the infamous chupacabra, and a mythical creature known as the Mananangal were among the many curious critters and bizarre beasts that made headlines over the last 12 months. With that in mind, here are the craziest cryptid cases to cross our desk in 2023. And it's just a list of the different stories on cryptids in 2023. So obviously, if you guys want to check it out, I'm going to leave the link below. I'm pretty sure 2024 is just going to be just as crazy for cryptids as 2023 was. Will this be the year that we finally solve one of these mysteries? That's a question only a dedicated researcher can answer. The second round of tickets is going to be available this Saturday for the Ohio Bigfoot Conference 2024. Of course, this is the website, ohiobigfootconference.com or ohiobigfootconference.org. And I wish I was going this year. It looks like a really good lineup of speakers. Unfortunately, I can't go. So hopefully it'll be a fun event for everybody that does go. And then they learn a little something. I'll include the link to this site down below, obviously, as well. That's going to do it for this week. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. You guys are the heart of the show. I always say that, but I always mean it. I'll continue as long as you guys want me to. Going on my 9th year doing this video podcast. It's all because of you guys. You guys have really been encouraging. I've enjoyed all your comments. I've enjoyed the likes that you give the videos. So keep it up in 2024. Now we can keep up the great content. And hey, until next week, y'all be good or be good at this HBM Crypto Corner.